this is your sign. We're gonna move on from those. Yes, we are. Welcome back, everyone. Today's video, we are going to be talking about makeup I think you should declutter from your collection. Okay, don't get mad at me. I'm just going to give you some suggestions, and this is coming from someone who recently did a pretty big declutter and organization of my entire makeup collection. And I feel like I am in a much better spot, so I wanted to share some of the things that I learned from you. I did also see one of my friends, Amanda Z, do a video like this recently as well, so I'm going to link her video down below. But as I was watching it, I was like, this is such a good idea. And again, coming off the heels of doing my organization, I have a pretty long vlog showing me actually organizing my makeup collection, my beauty room, my walk-in makeup closet, and then I did do a pretty large declutter series in December as well that I do every single year at the end of the year. So I'll link some of those videos in the cards as well as we go along. But let's jump into it with something that should be a bit of a no-brainer for us. And this was something that when I was thinking about this video and I was thinking about my own declutter, especially, what was I decluttering? Makeup products that were expired. So again, I don't feel like I'm saying anything new when I talk about this one, but I do think it's a good reminder because I am someone who's definitely held on to expired makeup longer than I should have, which is not good for you. It's not good for your face. If you're using something like expired eye products, it's not good for you. You know, something like expired mascaras. There was a time where I don't know why, this was years ago, but I like refused to give up any mascara until like there was just absolutely nothing left. And then I was also really bad at opening mascaras and then not using them very consistently. So then I would just have an opened mascara for such a long time. And then when I would put it on, my eyes would get quite irritated and I'd be like, why is this happening? Like I couldn't figure out what I was doing to myself. So one thing when I was going through my makeup declutter series, I opened a lot of like cream blushes and cream bronzers, products that just smelled a little bit off or looked a little bit off. And if I had like any suspicions about them, I was like, you know what, we are decluttering them. We do not need this in your collection anymore. So some makeup products do have expiration dates on them. Some things like eyeshadow palettes and foundations, like they have actual expiration dates on them, or you can like look them up. Again, you can kind of go off of how long have you been using this? How long has it been opened? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? And this is your reminder to throw those away, because I have talked to plenty of friends throughout the years that have been like, you know, this one, like it's looking a little suspicious around the edges, but I think that I can still finish it. I'm like, no, this is our sign. Go through your makeup collection, and if you have items that are expired or you think are expired or have just gone bad, maybe it's a newer product, but for whatever reason it's gone, but that happens. That happens. You can buy a new product and something can be a little bit funky with it. This is your sign. We're gonna move on from those. Yes, we are. Kind of along those lines, anything that you haven't used in a certain amount of time. On my list, I put 3 months. You know, you could even say something like 6 months. But I think what's really important here is to have some sort of identification. Now, I'm a beauty channel. I have a large makeup collection. We're focusing on makeup for this video, but I even think of it when it comes to my closet. And I've seen people say either, you know, turn your hangers the other way. And then when you actually wear that shirt, when you go to put it back, then you hang your hanger the right way. So then when you want to look at your closet and you want to do a declutter and you see so many hangers that are backwards, you're like, oh, I haven't worn these since I did my last closet declutter 6 months ago. I know that I can take them out because I'm not wearing them. Or even one thing that I do is in my closet, I will stack shirts on top of each other. And if I can tell from the bottom that those shirts have not been pulled out in such a long time, I'm like, okay, we can get rid of these as well. So, or shoes, like if shoes are turned a certain way, then I know that I've used them versus not using them. So there's different ways that we can do that in something like our closet as well. But even with our makeup collection, one thing that I decided to do in 2025 was to start an inventory spreadsheet. So when I did my makeup declutter videos, and you know, this is a little bit different for me because I have videos where I can like see everything back. But of course, this doesn't mean that you can't spend an afternoon or an evening going through and tracking your makeup collection and making an inventory for them. I know plenty of people that do makeup inventory, you know, just on their own. But for me, I went back when I was editing my videos and was like, okay, this is everything that I kept in my declutters. So I made a spreadsheet for it. And then every time that I use a product, I go in and I bold that product. And then it's also nice because if I declutter something or use something up, I can take it off the spreadsheet. Or if I bring something in, like I just bought this new lip gloss from Makeup Forever, then I can put that on my spreadsheet under lip glosses, and then I can bold it to know I have used it. So what I want to do is in March, because again, I made this like end of December, early January. I want to look in March. I want to look on my spreadsheet and see what have I not used. And again, for me, I said 3 months because I do feel like I have a larger collection and I feel like my collection can get a little bit out of control if I don't keep a good handle on it. So maybe for you, it's 1 year. Maybe for you, it's 6 months. Maybe there's a different time frame in there that works better for you. But whatever it is, give yourself that timeline that you're like, you know what, if I haven't used this foundation in 6 months, if I haven't used this eyeshadow palette in 4 months, if I haven't used this lip product in 2 months, like then it is time to move on from it because it's just keeping up clutter in your collection and it's not something that you're actually using. Keeping products because they're expensive. This is something I still continue to do. I do it with makeup, I do it with clothes, I do it with shoes, I do it with purses. I even do it with things like kitchenware. Like I have like some pretty expensive pots and pans that I'm like, there's one particular pan that I don't use very often and I'm like, I could get rid of this and I'm like, but it's expensive. Like I don't want to get rid of it. And again, when we're thinking about items that we're decluttering, I keep saying that 2025 is like my organized girl era. I've said this every year since like freaking 2020 or something, but I'm so determined that 2025 is going to be my year of being organized. And I feel like I started my year off really strong, doing this decluttering, doing all of this organizing, and really keeping up on that, really kind of finding that whole everything has its place. And like even something, this is so random, but like this is where I keep my lip liners. And for me, I feel like I'm always going hunting for my lip liners. I'm like, where are they? Where are they? And I'm like, if you just have them all right here, then when you need to go look for your lip liners, here they are. Or when you take a lip liner out of your purse, you put it back in here and then you know where your lip liners are. So I've really been, which for those of you who love organizing, you're probably like, duh girl, we know that. But like for me, I haven't been the best at it and I'm trying to be better. And that is one thing. So this video, you know, is focusing on decluttering, but also keeping our amount of clutter down, keeping not such insane collections. I've been talking in the last few of my videos about things that social media normalizes. I've touched on makeup collections, of course. In part 2, I touched on fragrance collections. And while in that book, I also kind of briefly touched on books because I was talking about fragrance, well, and also makeup. You know, I think it really, we saw a rise of makeup collections and overconsumption in the beauty industry with the rise of beauty YouTube. Then we've also, in the past couple of years, see this rise of fragrances and more fragrance channels coming out, fragrance reviews, videos dedicated to fragrances. Again, all at the same time, I'm raising my hand, I do this as well. I'm never trying to like point fingers or say anything bad, but it's, as social media content creators, we do follow the trends. We do see what is popular. And then it's like, okay, are we passionate about that, or do we think we can make videos about that? And then we decide to do that. So fragrances have had a rise in popularity and now people have really large fragrance collections. And then I also mentioned that books have had a very rising popularity in Book Talk, BookTube, and all of the things. And now we're seeing a lot of people talking about books and book channels coming out. And I had a really interesting comment today. I'm actually gonna read this to you because I screenshotted it because I was like, kind of like, it just really got my mind going. The book thing is getting wild. I'm happy that Book Talk and Bookstagram have made reading kind of cool again. I'm an avid reader, but only own very few books because I utilize the library, Libby, borrowing books from friends, and at times Kindle Unlimited. Being in book clubs and watching some book content online, it seems so normalized to have these huge libraries, and at book clubs sometimes feels weird because I don't own a lot of books or go out and buy a new book in a series immediately, but really buying books and reading are two totally different hobbies. And books are expensive and take up a lot of space. I thought that was so interesting. So when I'm talking about this, you know, of course, again, like I said, we're talking about makeup, but you can also correlate these things that I'm saying that we can declutter and cut down on in our collections. You can use it with your fragrances. You can use it with books. You can use it with clothes. You can use it with kitchen items. Like one thing that I really want to do is declutter and clear out my pantry and make it more organized. It used to be very organized when I first moved in here, but it's definitely lost its way. So that is something you can do. Your skincare collections, you know, anything like that. So kind of the whole point of this video is to go beyond just makeup as well. And like, you know, here are some different ways that you can try to cut down and stay more organized in your home. Am I really making this video for me? Yes, so I'm more organized. No, but I do, of course, also want to help and just kind of give some of my feedback that I've learned while trying to get into my organized girl era. But going back to keeping things because they are so expensive, like I've said, I've done it with makeup. Like, you know, some of the like the Pat McGrath palette is one that comes to my mind. Like, I still have one Pat McGrath palette in my collection, and I'm like, I paid like $125 for that palette. Like, I don't want to let it go. But there also has to be a certain point where you ask yourself, like, is it bringing me joy to keep this, or am I really just keeping it because it was expensive? And if it is bringing you joy, even though you're only keeping it because it's expensive, as long as it brings you joy, like, you know, go ahead and keep it. All of these things are just, you know, suggestions. I'm not saying that this is something that you have to do or we're not gonna be friends anymore, because some of the things I do think are kind of hard to part ways with. But even when it comes to like an article of clothing, I'm like, man, I paid a lot of money for that. But there is also now a lot of websites that are quite popular. You know, I'm thinking of Poshmark, I'm thinking of Mercari, places where you can sell the items that you have used. If they're, you know, gently used in good condition, maybe you've bought something and you've never used it before. I'm completely guilty of that myself as well. Maybe you bought something and it doesn't fit you, like a piece of clothing. Like, you bought something, it doesn't fit you, but the store doesn't do returns. You can, you know, turn around and sell it on another website, and someone else can get use out of it, and you can get some of your money back and that sort of thing. But this is my suggestion to you, is to go through your collection, makeup, clothes, whatever it may be. Find those items that you can pinpoint that you're like, I'm really only keeping this because I paid a lot of money for it, and decide if it's really worth it to keep it in your collection. This kind of inspires me to do the same, because like I said, I mentioned the Pat McGrath palette, but I know there's other products too that I have just because they're pricey, and I'm like, I feel like I need to do another sweep through my collection and see if there's anything that I could declutter. All right, the next items that we are going to be decluttering is unused products, or if you have a lot of backup. So for me, I did a video years ago on YouTube talking about my backup makeup drawer. And I remember at the time, like, I hadn't seen any videos like that yet, but I would say in videos like, oh, I already have a backup of this, I have a backup of that. And at the time, truly in my like vanity desk drawer, I had a whole drawer that was used just for backup products like eyeliners and brow pencils. But I used to be the kind of person that, like, when I started to get low on something, I would repurchase it right away. Why? I have no idea. That was something I had to shake myself out of, because I would literally like get low on foundation and be like, oh, I have to purchase a new one right away, when in reality, I still had like probably 50 uses left of that foundation. But for some reason in my mind, I was like, don't want to run out. And also I'm like, okay, I get it if something is like limited edition or something along those lines. But at the same time, I'm like, there's plenty of products that I was buying, or I was buying if things were on sale. Like, I would see a sale and I'd be like, I might as well buy this brow pencil that I already have 5 of, but now I can get one on 20% off. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, when you use something up, go ahead and repurchase it. Why are you buying 5 brow products at one time and then just keeping them all crammed in a drawer together? What are you doing, sis? So that was definitely a mindset that I had to get out of. And then going over again to like unused products. These could be unused products that you just haven't opened. Again, they could be your backups, or you just bought them and then maybe you bought a product because you were like, oh, I'm gonna love this in the summertime, and you bought it in December, and then summer comes around and you're like, oh, actually I don't need it, or I don't need that particular shade. Like, maybe you bought a different foundation shade. For whatever reason that you might have unused makeup products in your collection, really look at them and be like, am I actually going to open this up? Am I actually going to use this if I haven't? And the answer is no. Get them out. Next up, we're going to talk about the D word. Dupes. Okay, so I've had some people say, because I've mentioned this in videos recently, about how I'm very careful about like language that I'm using, and you don't want to use the D word. And I've had several people be like, wait, why can't you use that word? So the word that I'm referencing is dupe, or like dupe makeup. And I really don't know what it is, but in the last couple of years, we have started to have our content be flagged if we specifically are saying dupe makeup. So, and I've gotten emails from platforms being like, you can't make content like this anymore. This isn't the language that you can use. You can say like, this is similar, or this is close to, or this is like, or different things like that. But all of a sudden it was like the word dupe, like we were in danger of having our content be demonetized on YouTube. Like, our entire video could be demonetized if it was in our titles or our thumbnails, or if it was a very clearly like comparison type of video. People were getting demonetized for that. People get their videos taken down on certain platforms because that's what they are talking about. So that is just something that I'm not sure if everybody knows, because I don't know why you would, but you know, you don't know all the ins and outs of someone's job. It's just kind of funny when I started saying that, people were like, wait, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh yeah, that's true. People probably don't realize that behind the scenes, we were actually getting dinged, demonetized, our content taken down because we were using that language in our videos. But that's just one thing that I wanted to mention, kind of off topic. But again, going back to dupe products or similar products that aren't as good as their original. So maybe you have something like a Dior lip gloss, and you also went out and you bought the similar product to it that you can get on a place like Amazon. And so you have them both now, and the one that was less expensive just isn't as good as the original, but you still keep it because you're like, oh, well, like it's less expensive. Or maybe I take that high-end product that I paid more money for and I don't use it very often. This is another mindset that I used to be in constantly. If I bought really expensive makeup, I then all of a sudden just wouldn't use it, because it was like I didn't want to use it up, or I would save it for special occasions. I was very much that way before as well. Like I would save it for special occasions, or even if I was getting down there on a product, like I just used up my freck lip liner. When I realized I only had a few uses left, I was like, I have to wait for the perfect moment to use this lip liner. So that is a few different ways where I would fall into this mindset myself. But if you have expensive products, this is your reminder that like, you spent the money on them, you have them, you should use them, you should wear them. And that's a reminder I've had to give myself too. But if you did, or you have a product that's similar, so you're like, oh, I'm just gonna use that one because it wasn't as much money, but I don't like it or it's not as good. Not only do you not have to use it, you don't even have to keep it in your collection. You can just get rid of that one and keep the one that you actually like, the one that you actually use. Again, kind of the whole reminder of this video is that we are keeping the products that we actually use. We actually put on our face. We actually spray on our body. The clothes we actually wear. That is kind of the mindset that I'm trying to have for 2025, is that what I'm keeping around me are products that bring me joy and products that I am actually using. So if you have similar products that are close to a more high-end one and you like the high-end one more, wear the high-end one, keep the high-end one. You don't have to keep the more affordable one. Gifted products that you feel bad decluttering. There should be a picture of my face next to this category, because I can't get rid of things that people gift to me. I can't do it. It is so hard for me, and I don't know why. Is anyone else this way? But it's like, it doesn't matter who got it for me. It could be my mom, it could be my friend, it could be someone from the community. It doesn't matter. If someone gifts me a product, I feel like I can never let this go. Like, because I feel bad if I declutter it. I feel ungrateful if I declutter it. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't have to be that way. I also have a very anxious brain, and to the point, like two of my very close girlfriends also have very anxious brains, and sometimes we all laugh at like the things that we think to each other. But like truly, I could have a friend message me that says, have a good day, and if there's no exclamation point or a sunshine emoji, I'm like, they hate me. They don't want me to have a good day. They're saying that sarcastically. They're saying that because I didn't message them back last night, so now they're mad at me. So they're like, have a good day, bitch. Like that's how I think. Like that's my brain. Ooh, she be doing all kinds of things sometimes. You know, even if someone gives me a gift and I'm like, you know what, thank you, I've used it a few times, I'm just not really vibing with it, I can pass it on to someone else. Honestly, there's probably a lot of times where the person who gifted me the original gift, one, if they even like knew that I don't have it anymore, but two, it's like, would it really matter to them? Like there's been plenty of times that I have gifted people something and they're like, oh, you know what, I just don't love it, or it doesn't fit me, or it's not my particular style. Like, thank you for thinking of me. The whole like, it's the thought that counts, but it doesn't really work for me. And like, I don't go home and cry. So why do I think people are gonna do that if I declutter gifts? Like, again, at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be that serious. And if you have something in your collection that you're keeping, but it's just collecting dust, you're not using it, but you feel kind of guilty getting rid of it, one thing that I have to remind myself is that it's probably more of what we're putting on ourselves, and actually kind of what we're putting on the other people. We're assuming what they are thinking. We are already having expectations of what they think, and it probably shouldn't be that way. And at the end of the day, it's your own collection, it's your own home, and if you want to keep just a bunch of stuff that's just going to keep piling up because you're too, you feel too guilty to get rid of it, that's not a good thing either. So this is your reminder and also my reminder. I'm essentially making this video for myself, like I said, that you don't have to keep products that you were gifted, because you don't need to have that guilty conscience. Wrong shades that you try to make work. Oh, I've done this before. Oh, I've done this. I still probably do this now, like especially with something like foundations. I'm like, oh, but I could mix in you know, a little bit of like a liquid bronzer, or I could mix it with my concealer to make it a little bit lighter. Like I do it all the time, and it's like there's so much makeup. There's so much makeup. There's so many products that you could choose. I mean, the makeup possibilities are endless these days. So why do you need to keep a product that doesn't really work for you and that you have to try? Like for me, I don't really want to like try that hard when I do my makeup. I know some of you are looking at me like, yeah girl, we know. Listen, I'm filming this on a Sunday. I wasn't planning to film today. I just got back from a walk. I was gonna go to the gym. I was gonna hot oil my hair and go to the steam room. And instead I was like, you know what? I really want to film this video today. So I slicked my oily hair back in a clip and just slapped on a few products, including my new lip gloss that I really like. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and film. I got my sweatpants on. I'm in a sports bra. It is what it is. But I don't want to like spend a bunch of time like mixing my foundations together. I don't want to spend a lot of time blending 18 different eyeshadows on my eyes. Like I just don't. There was a time that I really wanted to do that, and I thought it was quite fun. And for the last few years, like I still like makeup. I still like wearing makeup. I still like the a creative process every now and again, but sometimes I want to just put one single shadow on my eye and some mascara and call it a day like I did today. So when it comes to products that just don't work for you shade wise, it's like, again, going back to there's so much makeup out there, and honestly, you probably have other ones in your collection. You probably have other foundations that do work for you, and other concealers that do work for you, and blushes that you actually like the color, and bronzers that don't turn you orange. So we don't have to keep the makeup that doesn't look good on us and try and like mix and match and do all these different things in order to make the product work for us. We can just move on from them. We can just move on. Keeping products because they are in or trendy. This is a doozy. Because it feels like there's a new trend every other week. I touched on this in a prior video as well, but it was actually a comment that I got that said, or no, it wasn't a comment I got, it was a comment I believe on Trend Mood, because people were really coming after the Pat McGrath brand for coming out with this like peel off skincare mask, and they were like, this is a year too late. And someone left a comment and was like, all of these comments talking about being a year too late, like why do trends have to be so quick? Why do trends have to be over and done in a week? And it really does promote overconsumption because there's a new trend so quickly. So a lot of times some of the makeup that we are buying is because that particular product is trending. Now it can be something as ambiguous as, you know, blush. Just blush in general, because there was a time where a lot of brands were releasing blushes. There was a lot of hype around blushes. And it just seemed like you couldn't turn around without hearing a new blush release. And then sometimes it's a little bit more on the narrow side when it comes to beauty products and getting really specific about those. But at the end of the day, you can really see, like when blush was popping, like I was buying multiple blushes, other people were buying multiple blushes. When lip glosses became very popular, then a lot of people were buying a lot of lip glosses and having a lot of lip glosses in our collection. But this is just a reminder that you don't have to buy products just because they're trending and trending right now, because more than likely, just wait a little bit, they'll be trending again. They'll be trending again, and then you have the opportunity to buy them again if you didn't buy them the last time around. I mean, trends are always cycling through, and this isn't just with makeup. This is also something that we see in fashion. Like in the last, you know, little bit here, flare jeans, bell bottoms, wide-legged jeans, those have become very popular once again. I mean, did we catch the halftime show? Because I was like, where did Kendrick get those jeans? Like, I was a fan of them. But prior to that, it was the very skinny jeans and like absolutely no flare at all. And then all of a sudden it's like, if you're not wearing flare jeans, people are like, wow, you are so not on point. So they're always going to cycle through all of the trends. Like they're always going to come back. But so this is kind of a reminder that you don't have to buy something just because it's trending, and you also don't have to keep a product just because it's trending or it's in right now. Again, going back to, if you don't like it, it's not working for you, it's not a great shade match for you, it's not something that you reached for, you haven't used it since the time that you bought it and only tried it a couple times, it's okay to get rid of it. Categories that you have overflow in. This is something that when I started to organize my collection, that it really gave me a good way to be able to look and see how much I have. So, you know, for example, like I had mentioned, like my lip liners being right here. I don't ever want to get to a point where this whole thing is like completely full and I can barely like see or grab out my lip liners. To me, this is already a lot. Don't get me wrong, this is a lot of lip liners. I love lip liners, it's one of my favorites in the makeup category. But if this was like so full, then that would be an issue. You know, I have like foundations in this drawer at the vanity that's in front of me, and I have little spots for it. And I think organizing my collection this way is really good for me, because this way I can see where my makeup collection is right now. I'm very happy with it. So if a few months go by and I'm not doing my, you know, regular decluttering, and all of a sudden my foundations are overflowing, I'm like, wait a second, maybe I should take a look at this and think, do you really need to keep 25 foundations right now, or is that too many? Again, going back to talking about like fragrances, if you have like a fragrance organizer, a fragrance rack, you know, something along those lines, and you put all your fragrances in it, and then you keep buying more without using some up or getting rid of some, and then all of a sudden you can't fit everything into that organizer, maybe it's time to look at them and think, okay, now I have 20 perfumes. Do I really need this many? Maybe there's some that I can get rid of. Or you can also look to say, I don't need to buy any more in the near future. Even if there's a sale and I can get something for a percentage off, I don't have any room. You know, when I watch videos about organizing or listen to podcasts on organizing, I oftentimes hear like the 1-for-1 rule, I think is what it's called. And it's basically like you can't bring something in until you take something out in that category. So like if I have my, you know, I have my lipsticks are all in this top drawer here in little organizers like this. And it's like, you know what, if I can't fit any more lipsticks in here, that means that I don't need a new lipstick, and I'm not gonna bring one in until I take one out. Whether I've used it all the way up or I'm just getting rid of it in my collection, that's when I know that I can then get a new one. So that's one thing that I've tried to think about too when it comes to my makeup collection and keeping better focus on it and better tabs on it. I'm really excited the way that it's organized now, because I think it really will help me. And the last tip, the 10th and final tip, I think we're on 10, is limited edition products. So again, this is something that I touched on earlier in the video, but if you are keeping products only because they are limited edition and you can't get them again, I don't want to say that everything that I'm saying, you have to go out and get rid of them. I know I've already said that before, but sometimes, you know, people can be a little bit selective on what they're hearing. So I want to remind you that all of these are just suggestions. Some of them are a little bit harder for me to take myself. Some of them take me a little bit more time to get up there myself. But limited edition items, I do feel like are hard getting rid of because you can't get them again. Because after you declutter them, which I've done declutters and then been like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't declutter that product, but it's like, well, it's okay. It's just a foundation. I can run out and grab it again. There are some products that are limited edition or products that have been discontinued and you can't get anymore. But again, at the same time, does that mean like I remember when Bite Beauty, like all of a sudden all of their lip products disappeared and people are like, I'm gonna stop using my Bite lip products because like what's happening? And it's like, all right, well then they're just gonna get bad and then they're just gonna expire. So would you rather just use that product up? And then I guess again, at the end of the day, one thing that I think about when I think about makeup and keeping it and having these huge collections is there is always going to be more makeup. We are never going to run out of makeup that we can purchase. And yes, it might be something that you love that was limited edition that you can't get anymore, but there's probably something that you're going to love just as equally or even more than that product that maybe that's not even been released yet, or maybe you just haven't gotten it back in your collection yet. At the end of the day, there is always new products coming out. There's always new brands popping up. There is always going to be the opportunity to buy new makeup. And I'm going to caveat with saying that doesn't mean that we always have to have the mindset of like, we're just going to go out and buy anything and everything that we want. I'm trying to focus it on the clutter part and the decluttering and the organization of your collection of if you're holding on to things because you think that there's like nothing better out there, there probably is. Especially if you're holding on to something from like 2016, honestly, there's probably better products on the shelves right now. The makeup game, the beauty industry has just risen in the last several years. Products have gotten so good. I mean, there used to be a time where I could make a ton of videos on the worst products that I've tried, full face of products that I hate, and it's getting less and less and less these days. And truly, it's kind of become more of, these are just products that I don't personally love, but I still think that they're good. Like, they're still a good makeup product. They just don't fit my particular makeup preference or something along those lines. But there's a lot of good makeup out there. So if you're having trouble letting stuff go, you know, just be reminded that, like, there's still good stuff out there. And when you need it, when you realize you have an actual need in your collection for something, you'll be able to find it in stores, I'm sure. But those are 10 products that I think that we could be decluttering in our makeup collections. I would love to hear your thoughts on this and which ones that you are going to follow, or if you have any tips on what you can declutter to keep that makeup collection in a more minimal space and stay more organized in 2025, I would love to know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.